For today's Cyber CEO episode.
When I first started working with a cyberbacker, my wife came home at one point and looked at me and was like, "Why are you not on your laptop still? Like, you should still be working. I don't understand why it's 5:30, 6 o'clock and you've already put your laptop away." Frank was picking up all the stuff that I had dropped. I couldn't keep on top of. There were just too many in the database. And I knew I was leaving them behind. And he, beyond my wildest dreams, handled them very deftly, very intelligently. Like, the growth mind that was on Frank super impressed me. Like, he was dropping quotes from personal development books and business books, and Frank's been a superstar. Just everything I could have possibly imagined I would want from somebody that I would hire for my team. To have him as a part of the family, like, he fit right in, right? Like, super personal development focused, super client care, and just really amazing to watch him work. Frank was not only doing all the numbers that I would have expected, but he was actually putting in more. It was awesome. It was amazing to see the work ethic and, again, personal development value that he shared.
Welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. All right, another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is 𝗙𝗹𝗹𝗶𝗹. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO. And of course, we have a very special guest on the show right now. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, 𝗙𝗪. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for asking. And of course, for giving us your time. I know you're very, very busy. Now, to kick things off, to let you know, we have a lot of listeners who are also business owners just like you. So I need your help here. Can you introduce yourself to our audience? Maybe starting off with, what is your role in the business, Jeff?
Cool. Well, that's a great question. I am, my primary role right now, I'd say, is probably business coach. I'm a business coach and trainer with Business Maps. I'm also a franchise owner for one of the Cyberbacker franchises in Maryland, DC, and Delaware, which is pretty exciting for me. That's a newer venture, just started in November. Super excited about that. And I'm the operating kind of the point person for that franchise. So I get to have a lot of calls inside of the Cyberbacker family and with a lot of different Cyberbackers. So a lot of experience there.
There we go. So, but in real estate, how long have you been in the business?
For real estate, I came in to KW as a TL. It's kind of the office manager or CEO of an office. And that's actually where I first heard of Cyberbacker was through agents and KW Maps coaches who had picked up Cyberbackers. In fact, I started my own coaching consulting business as I was exiting from that role with KW. And my whole dream and idea was I wanted to help make real estate agents and real estate ancillary businesses and really any business out there successful by helping them leverage their time through the consulting and services. Mm-hmm. And then I would work with them one-on-one to really level up their business. So coincidentally, I had a KW Maps coach that was using my team for some ISA calls and managing their database, and they fired me to hire Cyberbackers.
Wow.
So I was like, huh. And I dug into Cyberbacker a little bit more at that point. You all were in your growth stages, and yes. And it was pretty neat what I saw. I was pretty impressed with the system that you all worked out. In fact, inside of my TL role, we had a virtual assistant that I hadn't been super impressed with for a variety of reasons over the years. And she did a good job, and she was not what I would call amazing. And so that's one of the reasons that I had developed the system that I had in my company at the time, because I wanted to give people an opportunity that was very similar to that virtual opportunity, but locally, right? Like with some hands on deck. And I realized very quickly that Cyberbacker had it right and I had it wrong.
So that's how you got introduced to Cyberbacker then?
That was my initial introduction. It was, yeah. I didn't hire Cyberbacker at the time. And it wasn't too long before I realized that I could use Cyberbacker for leverage for myself too.
There you go. Virtual leverage. Now, today, you've been with Cyberbacker for a while now. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. What comes to your mind when you hear that word, Cyberbacker?
That's a great question. There's a lot of initial thoughts that came to mind, and we actually named our LLC off of the first idea that comes to mind, which was that 80%, right? Like we always hear about the 80-20 rule inside of business and inside of our activities, and so when I first think of Cyberbacker, like where I had it wrong was I had my virtual assistants focusing in on the 20%. Like we were taking some of the big things off of people's plates, and that was the wrong move, right? Because when you take the big things off, the businesses stop growing because they're not doing the hard work anymore. And they kind of start relying on other people to do all the heavy lifting. And really what we should have been doing was focusing on the 80%, which is what makes me think of Cyberbacker, is when we can take those other tasks off of the owner's plates, the leader's plates, those in the business that are working on those revenue generating activities, then the business continues to grow because they're focused in on their primary and optimal pay rate, right? And they've got other people doing all the things that they shouldn't have been touching to begin with, the things that they aren't the experts at. Let them focus in on growing and client development and client happiness and relationships, and let those that are behind the scenes take care of all the other stuff.
Yes, I definitely agree with you there. The leverage, again, focusing on just the money-making tasks, right?
Yeah, those revenue-generating activities really make business grow. Imagine that.
Yeah. Very, very true. Now, I'd like you to talk to me about virtual leverage. How do you think it can help our listeners with their businesses? How big is virtual leverage?
It covers just about everything. In fact, like this is a little bit of, a little bit humbling to say. When I first started working with a Cyberbacker, my wife came home at one point and looked at me and was like, "Why are you not on your laptop still?" Right? Like you should still be working. I don't understand why it's 5:30, 6 o'clock and you've already put your laptop away. Right? Like I actually got in trouble. She thought I was being lazy. And so what made that fun for me was not only was the work getting done, and not only was I gaining back a quality of life that I hadn't seen in decades, but it was being done again better because I wasn't using my leftover energy to complete these tasks, right? So my first Cyberbacker was a gentleman named Frank, and as he and I were working together inside of Business Maps, like I was focused in on the hot leads, right? And the people, the clients that we knew would likely convert that month. And, so we were working to develop a relationship. I was taking my time to have the calls and do business assessments and do all the other things. And Frank was picking up all the stuff that I had dropped, right? So the CRM management and calling the lists of people that I couldn't keep on top of. There were just too many in the database, and I knew I was leaving them behind, and he, beyond my wildest dreams, handled them very deftly, very intelligently. Like the growth mind that was on Frank super impressed me. Like he was dropping quotes from personal development books and business books, and just everything I could have possibly imagined I would want from somebody that I would hire for my team. And of course, I had hired him for my team, so to speak, right? Like he was on the Business Maps management team and one of our key personnel. And so to have him as a part of the family, like he fit right in, right? Like super personal development and focused, and super client care, and just really amazing to watch him work. And again, it took me back to that original business where I had somebody that worked the phones, and I had hired that person, and I thought she was amazing when we were working together. And yet there were often days that I looked at her activities for the day and I wondered if she'd been putting in the hard work, right? Like I was like, this seems short. Like it seems like she should have been able to accomplish more, right? And whereas Frank was not only doing all the numbers that I would have expected, but he was actually putting in more. And on weeks that we hadn't hit our numbers, he was coming back and saying, "Jeff, I need to do more." And I'm like, "Frank, it's okay. Like we'll catch it back up next week." "No, I committed to this number this week. I'm going to hit it, Jeff." And it was awesome. It was amazing to see the work ethic and, again, personal development value that he shared there. He was a large contributor with me saying, I need to get into franchise opportunity with Cyberbacker. So the minute I heard about that, I was like, how could I not? Like Frank's been a superstar. There's, if this is what we can do for other people, then I need to be a part of this. This is, again, it's what I wanted to do years before. You all just did it better, right? And now we're doing it together.
Yes,
better.
there we go. A partnership between you and Cyberbacker, of course, in
there you go.
the franchise. Now, do you think a relationship with someone who is in the office and someone virtual is different? That type of a relationship?
I worked with pretty large companies over the years. And as part of that, it's always cool to see somebody, jump out to a restaurant and grab a meal and do those types of things in person. I think that's really important to bonding and building a team. And like in the large companies I worked with, my territory was pretty big. And with that, like when you're running in 5, 6, 7 different states and you've got, several hundred people that are reporting to you, you're not getting together with everybody regularly anyway, right? So what are you doing on your team in order to create that relationship when you're not present? And I think that's, again, one of the fun things about Cyberbacker is if you are intentional about building a relationship, like we can do it this way still, right? I meet with my Cyberbacker now, Shara, every single week. She's my growth backer for my team. And so, we talk this way every single week. We have our sit downs, right? Our one-on-ones, because she's on my team. And then Irene, our career backer, has her one-on-one with our ops manager. And then every single day we're chatting back and forth. We're telling each other good morning. We're telling each other what our big rocks for the day are, right? Like we're following up on our efforts at the end of the night. And so in that way, like I didn't see my whole team in person every day anyway. This doesn't feel different at all. Like we're still a team. We're still communicating like a team. We still get on team meetings together, and we're still growing and being successful as a team. Just some of them are virtual, right? More virtual than the others. So
I think that's a good piece there. You're still growing, even if you don't get to have a meal with them, things like that, but you still can build on a strong partnership via, let's say, virtually, just like what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah. Like, Jello, what do you do with your friends in your off time? Like when you're looking at your friends and you're communicating with your friends in your off time, how are you communicating and keeping in touch with them regularly?
There you go. Usually it's through social media, text, phone calls, something like that.
Yeah, right. Social media, text, phone calls, something like that. So guess what? I'm commenting on my Cyberbackers Instagrams. I'm giving smiley faces and laughs and good little GIFs on their Facebook posts, right? I saw my growth backer having breakfast with her daughter recently, right? Like we're still doing the same things to keep in touch and build a relationship because, in reality, even if my team member was in person, I'm not going out to breakfast with them every Saturday morning, right?
That's true.
So we're connecting virtually, which is what most of us have been doing recently anyway, right?
Yes, during the pandemic. I totally agree with you there. Now, I'd like to know, in your opinion, what is the best part about Cyberbacker?
There's a lot of really positive pieces to Cyberbacker that I could point at. Again, for managing large teams, one of the huge benefits that I see is as a business coach outside of real estate, because Business Maps coaches companies other than real estate, right? Like we don't coach real estate agents. I coach, loan officers and property managers and attorneys and chiropractors and what all of those companies have in common, especially the smaller ones, is that they're still trying to figure out hiring talent. They're still trying to figure out what that onboarding system should look like, what their 30, 60, 90 should look like, how they're going to focus in on that accountability as they grow. And what we really find is that inside a Cyberbacker, those systems exist, right?
Yes.
And so for a small business owner that's trying to figure that out for the first time, it's invaluable to know that a lot of that has been taken care of for them. Like they still got to train them how to operate correctly on their team because everybody's team is going to run a little different, and like learning how to work on a CRM and having somebody to script practice with and having a system that they're reporting their end of day numbers through. And, just those little things that a new business owner doesn't necessarily think about. a small business owner doesn't necessarily think about as their team grows. And then training opportunities. Like there's like 200 plus managers inside of Cyberbacker that are all running multiple trainings a week. And so if there's something that the Cyberbacker needs additional help on, like that's there. They just plug them into that.
Covered. Yep.
And instead of trying to jump online, like I just had a coaching call yesterday with a client who's not using Cyberbacker. I've been picking on him too, and he's trying to figure out like what resources he can plug some of his salespeople into in order to help them learn to negotiate better and to close better on calls and things to that effect. And like in the back of my head, I'm like thinking, dude, like this, like if you were with Cyberbacker, this would be taken care of. We would just have you get in touch with their head backer and they'd plug them in and this would be taken care of. And just an invaluable resource for small businesses that don't have all those resources available already.
There you go. Because here in Cyberbacker, we're not just going to give you, hey, here's your person, here's your Cyberbacker. You're partnering with the whole team, with the whole company. Because again, when it comes to trainings, we got that covered too. Yeah.
Like I had an experience with my growth backer, Shara, at one point. I don't remember. It was an 8x8 or a 36, touch system. And I said, do we have one of these already? Like, is somebody out there already using this effectively doing what it is that we're doing? And she said, I don't know. Let me go ask 2,000 other people real quick in our Slack channel. and I'll come back and tell you an answer. I'm like, you're like mind blown. Of course. Like, how awesome is that to know that you've got 2,000 people sitting next to you, so to speak, that can just help you if you run into an obstacle that you haven't faced before. That was, like it gives me tingles thinking about it. Just knowing that everybody's got their back that way is pretty wild.
There you go. Because here in Cyberbacker, one of our core values is relationship. Help each other out. That's one of the most important things here with us, of course. Now, I have one last question for you, Jeff. Now, we have a lot of business owners who are listening, and some of them might not know how to build on a successful virtual partnership. So what piece of advice could you give other business owners when they're partnering with their own Cyberbackers? One of the things that I've seen people do wrong in general with hiring is rush through hiring decisions, right? A lot of business, especially when it's a new hire for yourself, you need to make sure that that person is a fit for your team. So how do you do that? Well, you identify your core values, right? You need to know what type of person it is that you're looking for, not just the tasks that they do, but also the values that will fit and match in with your team. Are they a fit for your team? And so Cyberbacker gives a lot of resources in the interview process to let you get to know them before the interview. And then as you go through the lightning round interviews and you get to meet people quickly, don't shortcut the process. True. Right? As you are going to hire somebody, take the time to have a really good conversation, go through the interview packet that's provided, ask the deep questions, learn who they are, learn how they're going to match on your team. So that way, that first off, you get along with the person that you're hiring, right? And second, that you have some like interests and like goals and like visions, and that that you both want to grow together, because nobody wants to hire somebody that doesn't want to grow with the team. Nobody wants to hire somebody that doesn't end up being a match with the team. So take your time in the beginning, so that way, as the relationship grows and expands, you've got somebody on your team that's going to be with you for the long haul. Again, they're a partner, of course, in Cyberbacker, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Now, Jeff, we are very, very excited to see where this partnership between you and Cyberbacker is going to be, of course, for many more years to come. And thank you very much for dropping by the show. We really appreciate it. And I hope this isn't the last time that we get to do this. Oh, no, I'm sure it won't be. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate, having this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website, www.cyberbacker.com, and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.